Welcome to the Anxiety Coaches Podcast, a relaxing and informative show where we explore anxiety, panic, and PTSD, sharing how you can overcome them for life.
Aloha! Welcome back to the Anxiety Coaches Podcast. I'm your host and coach, Gina Ryan, and I am so happy to be with you again today as together we can consider the many ways to bring your mind and body back to its natural peace and calm. In today's episode, I am asking you to smile because it can boost your happiness. And I know that the more happiness that you are able to glean throughout the day, the more your nervous system is going to be able to see that you're okay and that it can stand down and it doesn't have to be quite so ready to pounce to save you and keep you safe and alive. You can stop scanning the horizon for a moment when you are happy. So I found an article on Nice News. If you haven't ever checked out Nice News, they're not related to ACP here in any way, but I do like reading some of the articles that they post. And this author, Allison Alexi, wrote an article entitled How Simply Smiling Can Boost Your Happiness According to Science. I will put a link to the Nice News article in the show notes, and I will be sure to do that this time. Sometimes once or twice I think I may have missed getting the link in there, but I will make sure that it is there. And I wanted to talk about this because we want to physically do anything we can to help our nervous system understand that we're okay, especially when we are dealing with anxiety, because we have thoughts that tend to ramp us up, get us on edge, keeping us super focused and alert, scanning the horizon for trouble, and never letting the nervous system get back to its parasympathetic side of rest and digest, right? So let's look at this article and see what it is that Nice News is saying that the science has on smiling. I'll pull out some pieces and then we'll get into some tips. Can a smile a day keep bad feelings at bay? Well, I love that. The article says, a global collaborative study led by Stanford University research scientist Nicholas Coles has provided more evidence for the facial feedback hypothesis, which theorizes that a smile can indeed improve your mood, even when you're not feeling so cheery. The facial feedback hypothesis has been hotly debated in the scientific community. Little side note here from me, and I know this because people have said to me, because I've reported in the past to you guys about smiling, and I have heard from people that, well, that can't possibly be, that's been disputed, but now there's more. So one of the things that I want to say about science is we're never done, people. We're always looking for more. There's always more. I know that we got to take the best of what we got right now that we understand and go with it. And I even like the placebo effect. If I tell myself that I can feel better by smiling, and I go around smiling and I feel better, well, that's enough for me. No harm done anywhere. Anyway, back to the article. The Guardian reported, and even Coles admitted to previously being on the fence about its validity. Much of his research at Stanford focuses on this hypothesis and the social, cognitive, and physiological processes that underlie emotion. In an effort to prove or disprove that smiles can improve mood, Coles organized the Many Smiles Collaboration, a multi-lab analysis that recruited participants from all over the world. Rather than quibble and debate over Twitter and through journal articles, which would take decades and probably not be that productive, we said, let's just come together and design something that would please both sides, Coles explained in a press release. He also said, let's figure out a way that we could potentially convince proponents that the effect isn't real and potentially convince critics that the effect is real. And a little side note from me is I think that was a great way to go about it. And again, this could be really helpful. So I'm glad they continued looking into this. Back to the article. He and his fellow researchers recruited 3,878 participants from 19 countries and divided them into 3 study groups. The first group held a pen between their teeth without letting their lips touch it, triggering the facial muscles we use to smile. The second group mirrored the facial expressions of smiling actors, and the third group was told to move the corners of their lips toward their ears and raise their cheeks to mimic a smile. All groups then rated their level of happiness, and the result was a small but significant boost in positive emotions after a purposefully posed smile. This work suggested that happiness can be linked to simple physiological changes, Cole told The Guardian. Quote, from Coles, he said, the stretch of a smile can make people feel happy, and the furrowed brow can make people feel angry. Thus, the conscious experience of emotion must be at least partially based on bodily sensations, he added in the press release. Over the past few years, the science took one step back and a few steps forward, but now we're closer than ever to understanding a fundamental part of the human condition, emotion. Well, I thought that this is a great way for us to pay more attention to our own bodily expressions of what we're feeling, of our emotions. And we have willpower to make our bodies do some things that can perhaps override the emotion and take us to maybe a less severe, if not better, place altogether. So I hope that you will dig deeper if you're really interested in this smile piece, but I think it's promising that it had any effect whatsoever is a great start for me. I like to smile anyway. I think it makes other people more relaxed. And when the people around me are relaxed, I get to relax a little bit more. So that's where I stand with that. This show is also sponsored by BetterHelp. Back when I was struggling with so much anxiety and stress in my life, I had wished that life came with a user manual. Unfortunately, life doesn't come with a user manual, so when it's not working for you, it's normal to feel stuck. Navigating any of life's challenges can make you feel unsure, whether it's a career change, a new relationship, or becoming a parent. Therapists are trained to help you figure out the cause of challenging emotions and learn productive coping skills, which makes therapy the closest thing to a guided tour of the complex engine called you. Personally, I believe speaking with a therapist can be self-empowering. It almost is like having a user manual. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists, available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable. Just fill out the brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things aren't clicking, you can switch easily to a new therapist anytime. It couldn't be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com/ACP. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ACP. So let's look at this idea of smiling. It's such a simple idea. And I know I spoke recently in another episode about not having to have everything be so complicated or complex. Now, thank goodness the researchers are doing all of that piece for us and we get to hear the end results. That's awesome if they want to look at it as a complex issue. But if we can just find some simple things to do, such as saying affirmations, smiling, why not try them? What's the downside, right? You're already talking to yourself. Affirmations are just talking to yourself in a way that is helpful versus that endless negative rumination that can go on in there. So let's remember that. Maybe we need to make sure that we fill the void before the negative pieces come in, the negative thoughts, the negative endless chatter that can be going on in there. Let's fill up some of that space with some conscious, well thought out affirmations. And how about our physical body? Maybe we can't do a lot of things. Maybe you can't do a lot of exercise. Maybe you're recovering and you can't do the physical things that might really pump up those endorphins, right? Make you feel like $1,000,000. But I bet you can smile. And if it can shift anything, it's worth doing. We spend a lot of time alone too, right? We are not constantly in front of an audience, maybe wondering, why is she up there smiling? She's talking about a serious subject and she's smiling. I get it. We can't always smile, but we spend a lot of time on our own or just out in public. I've been experimenting with this even more lately, and just smiling at the people around me, it really seems to put them at ease. I don't even say anything to them. But life has been stressful over the last 2.5, 3 years. And here we are where we're out and about with everybody. And I think that smiling can make a difference. You don't even have to say anything. Maybe they don't even know what you're smiling about. It doesn't matter. It's your body, and you are sending the message with that smile, with those curled up corners of your mouth, sending a message to your body that all is well, that the nervous system can relax a little bit. Smiling reduces stress. We know this. Stress and anxiety can be ongoing challenges, but smiling more often helps the mind and body release stress naturally. Smiling helps reduce stress-induced hormones in the bloodstream, which helps avoid adrenal fatigue. What could be better? Now there's a tip for you. Smile because it helps reduce stress-induced hormones in the bloodstream, which helps avoid adrenal fatigue. That sounds like something I would try if I weren't already doing it. I hope that you will consider this. Like even right now, when I record, I am not with other people. I don't have a co-host here with me. I am sitting alone, and the recordings are much easier for me to do if I am smiling, if I am relaxed, if I have that furrowed brow that they were talking about earlier in the article. I think you would pick up that energy. You would probably feel my furrowed brow because it would come across somehow in my voice, the inflection, the tone. So I think it does us good to experiment with some more smiles. In fact, smiling is a therapy of the best kind, and it's a free therapy. The benefits of smiling have been validated by science. Smiling improves your mood. Moods might originate in the brain, but researchers have found that facial movements can force moods to align with them. So your mood is going to align with your facial movement. Just like so many other things, when I'm talking about you needing to reduce your anxiety and your stress level by relaxing your muscles, clenching them down maybe, if you don't know how to relax them yet, clenching them, making a fist, tightening them. Tighten your facial muscles too, and then relax them. We're training our mind to go ahead, the mood to go ahead with the body. So when we can teach those muscles to relax, the mood will follow. And the researchers have found that the facial movements alone can force the mood to align with the smile. Smiling alleviates tiny molecules in your brain that are designed to fend off stress. These molecules, called neuropeptides, facilitate communication between neurons in your brain. Also, when you smile, your brain releases dopamine, endorphins, and serotonin. So like I said earlier, maybe you don't have the physical capacity to go work out hard enough to get the endorphins. I know that I can go on a walk and I don't really get that endorphin feeling afterwards the way that I do when I go to the gym and do the weight training thing. Even though I'm not going fast with weight training, it's harder, and I guess I must work my heart more or must be breathing deeper, but I feel great for the entire rest of the day, even though I had to work really hard to get that. But we're finding that also when we smile, the brain is releasing some dopamine, some endorphins, and some serotonin. I think this is awesome, and you would be wise to add a little smile to your day, especially when you're in the mirror with yourself doing your affirmations. I want you to know how much I appreciate you being here and listening to the show and hanging out with me. I love being here with you, and that makes me smile. That's it for today's episode. And before I read today's quote, I want to put out a personal invitation to those of you who would like to take your healing and your clearing of your anxiety panic to another level. If you are not someone who wants to join a group coaching program, you may be interested in joining in with me on coaching one-on-one. You can learn more about that at the website, anxietycoachespodcast.com, and go to the one-on-one coaching page. Feel free to send me an email, anxietycoachespodcast@gmail.com, with coaching in the subject, and I'll be sure to get back with you, and we'll take it from there. No need to have this drag on forever. And now for today's quote. A simple smile, that's the start of opening your heart and being compassionate to others. And that's from the Dalai Lama. I'll be back in a few more days with another podcast. Until then, be well and aloha.
Thanks so much for joining us for today's episode of the Anxiety Coaches Podcast. Find more information at theanxietycoachespodcast.com.